internet. I think all the gremlins have been dissipated and killed off and culled because they were messing things up pretty rotten down there. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by Blaze, who's my co-caster tonight. And game number 2, do you reckon we'll have another 90-minute game, or will things be a little quicker?
Bring it on, why not? I could see it going that way, one way or another. We actually have the Jungle's King going up against bo3 for some reason, but I'm actually quite impressed that you fixed the entire internet.
Yeah.
Just straight up. From Freaks for You's headquarters, we're like, yep, got it covered, guys. Globally, worldwide, no issues. That's the joinDOTA guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to the draft now, and we've got a Shadow Fiend opener answered by an Earthshaker Wyvern. I'm actually not so sure about picking Wyvern into a Shadow Fiend, because of course you have to worry about cold embracing somebody who's just going to get double shadow raised. But obviously, if you have a game plan and you want to lock down that SF with the ultimate and bring him down that much more swiftly, then you have your options open to you.
Yeah, and with the Lina pickup, I guess you're still leaving yourself quite open. In the American scene especially, we've seen a fair amount of safe lane Lina. That has been relatively popular. It is always great to sort of ban things out like a Rubik that can pair up with Lina relatively well. But you've gone for what could be your support duo here very early on in the Earthshaker and Winter Wyvern. And that's why when Earthshaker is picked up so early on along with another support, it kind of leads me to think that possibly it's one of their offlaners. But Earthshaker picked up against the Shadow Fiend, it's always a great block pick as well as a great support pick for yourselves. Shadow Fiend and ES sort of transcends patches. It is the age-old combination where Shadow Fiend, a very squishy, susceptible hero to getting ganked, even though he's got a great amount of damage output to turn things around. If there's an Earthshaker standing nearby, he can turn those ganks into a hefty amount of kills for himself.
So now we're going to be seeing the final ban in Phase 2, immediately followed by the Pain Gaming first pick in Phase 2. Like you said, it could be an Earthshaker offlane. They still have their options open to them. But the important thing to note is that they're going to be very defensive in nature. They don't really want to engage in lane combat. They don't want to take fights before, let's say, the 15-16 minute mark very frequently. Maybe like one stray pick off here, there is some good zoning. But mostly they're going to be farming. Mostly they're going to be focusing on building themselves up for mid and late game, and they're going to be a slower tempo than what I think bo3 are looking for, where they want to flash farm in the SF, they want to get to Lina 1 or 2 big items, and then they just want to go. And while the Winter Wyvern is generally a support that denies kill opportunities with the Cold Embrace, I actually think that he's going to be very low impact this game because of the smart drafting for bo3, picking up a lot of good magical damage dealing heroes and just pretty much, like you said, setting themselves up for a good amount of damage when they have the right heroes with them. The Rubik, for example, I think would be pretty solid. You set up the Requiem, you set up the LSA, and has a good stun against the Earthshaker, too, if you end up stealing the Fisher that he boasts. But we're going to see the Undying ban, of all things, come out here, as they seem to be really worried about the laning phase.
I'm mainly looking here for catch heroes for bo3. With the long-range tools they've got so far, like you mentioned, LSA, Razors, Laguna Blade, all they really need now to really pad out their draft outside of a couple of supports is someone who can, from long range, catch people out. You know, Disruptor is still out there. Clockwork, I think, is a really great ban. Great showing last game from bo3. But what else do we actually have out there? Tidehunter was always this hero where I really liked him when reacting to pushes in from Jungle Kings. From teams, but Jungle Kings or Pain Gaming, I don't know why they tagged themselves up as that. Just look up to the name there. But like you said, they're going to be sitting back a lot on their haunches, getting their lanes kind of held down and farming up for the Gyrocopter, looks like. bo3, what we're going to go for now? Third pick. Time to actually get towards your supports. Offlaners, fair amount of banned out, but there's the Rubik.
Yeah, it just seems like too easy to pick that hero up. You get Fisher, you get something like the Winter Curse, perhaps. You can get Call Down or a Rocket Barrage from the Gyrocopter. Like, Rubik just has so much to bring to the table here. He's going to be setting up their lanes really nicely. He's going to be very involved and probably roaming on mid and safe lane. And I think the only thing that might be a little bit worried about is like a Broodmother, but even then, like the Lina and Shadow Fiend are great cores to deal with the Brood. Like the Rubik might be terrible against them, but the cores are sufficient, and I think that just getting some good detection down, they'll have that catch, they'll have their openings, and like you said, I think they were looking for those initiators, and they really didn't need the Undying to allow them to deal damage. They're already packing quite a bit naturally, but we will see the TA come through here, so probably a support that does multiple instances of damage to try to mitigate that a little bit. I mean, they don't really need Shattered Demon Rubik because of the fact that those are both setup heroes, not damage-dealing heroes. But it's at least one of the many heroes that deal with TA's Refraction really, really well.
Yeah, Refraction plus Cold Embrace, though, that's pretty scary to deal with. Need a hell of a lot to get through that, so... Was the Blink Dagger in that TA? I'm still kind of pondering on this offlane hero for Void Boys. Darkseer isn't too bad. He does get zoned out a little bit by Arctic Burn. Fish is decent. Gyrocopter, if he goes for the homing missile build, is very good, but unless he's in a 1v1 scenario, it's very unlikely he goes for that. Just Rocket Barrage and Flat Cannon is the natural order of things. Offlane, offlane, offlane. What actually see here? There's Darkseer. I don't think Magnus fits in too well. Brewmaster, not Brewmaster. Spirit Breaker is still the big one out there that does allow you to be a gap closer onto something like a TA, give vision while she gets into meld. Can be very good against things like Earthshaker and Winter Wyvern, who wait in the wings. You get an aggressive ward down into the fog, and you can hunt them down in their defensive positions. Because both of these support heroes really do function from outside of the team fight. They're really waiting in the fog, waiting for their opportunity to throw out fishes, use their abilities from a fair distance away, but it's a nature's prophet actually for Void Boys.
Yep, going for the old Bulldog versus Dendi there, just trying to break through the Refraction with the Nature's Call Treants, and trying to just have those little summon do a lot of the damage. But obviously, they're going to have difficulty getting legitimate push on when they're up against Side Blades, Flat Cannon, Call Down, Fisher and Echo. Like, I actually think there's so much AoE damage that it's going to be a ganking Nature's Prophet. He really can't look to split push because of how easy it is to clear out his summons. Instead, he's going to be looking to use his teleport to find 3v1 or 4v1 opportunities and push alongside his teammates. So they want to end this game sooner rather than later. The Lina should be the one position here. There's no reason to pick a Nature's Prophet and then go for a actual physical damage dealing hard carry. You want the Lina to be your core here, because otherwise you're going greedier than any viable draft that I can imagine. So I like the Fury in there. The other thing I would have looked at is like a Phoenix, really good with the damage over time effect, and attack speed slow, really frustrates both TA and Gyro, but obviously if you don't have enough control and disable, then you're going to be vulnerable during your supernova. So I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but I think I would have looked for that. In this case, they want to be even more active in the laning phase with the Furion, and we'll see the answer of Pain Gaming very shortly.
Now, a great support hero that combos up with Rubik, used to a hell of a lot of the time, was AA. And AA kind of has fallen off a lot recently, but against the Winter Wyvern Cold Embrace, against a TA with that Refraction, I think Ice Blast is incredibly good. And now they picked up a Spirit Breaker, someone who's resilient and incredibly tanky in the offlane. Very hard to deal with, even if you do have a Rubik Lina +1, which is the Nature's Prophet TPing in. Chilling Touch could rip him a new one. I'd actually quite like to see an Ancient Apparition here.
There's a couple of heroes that come to mind for all the things that you need in this context. I have a couple old school picks. The Ogre Magi would be pretty solid. Of course, the Skywrath Mage is good. Your lineup's pretty squishy, so I don't think they're going to go that route, but it is still pretty solid against Cold Embrace and against Refraction when you get the Mystic Flare up. Wraith King support actually is pretty good with the Wraith Fire Blast. Good projectile, good damage over time behind it, and enables your team to really push the creep waves very effectively. And then you have a couple of just oldies with goldies. You've got the Lion Instant Hex against the Spirit Breaker. Marana is a good pick, though. So this is going to be got a little mobility with the Leap. You've got some good tools with the Ultimate. Is this an aggro try? I believe it's got to be an aggro try, the way they're drafting it up here.
They are swapping all their players around something fierce.
Exactly.
Tiburon was their offlane Clockwork before, now is the Shadow Fiend. Xuan was their 4-role Bounty Hunter, now is playing the Lina. So it looks like a carry Marana, with Lina Rubik being their two supports, whatever was the Disruptor last game. Fly, what was Fly playing?
He was mid, he was Zeus, so now he's going to be a mid-Nature's Prophet, leaving SF for the safe lane, and going for an aggro try with the Lina, the Rubik, and the farming Marana. Should be pretty interesting.
Crap, okay, well, 4DR back on the Gyrocopter. Tavo, again, still on the Spirit Breaker CYS. No left track for him this time, so the Templar Assassin. While Earthshaker will be Dot and
remaining.
the Wyvern. It's going to T4. Interesting.
Yeah. I'd say Nagasaran and Earthshaker have some good comparisons as far as like the way they move about the map. Obviously, positioning is more specific for the Earthshaker Fisher, but in general, just like how he wants to control runes, how he looks to reserve his mana pool, and obviously the fact that he's a melee hero, I would say there's some good parallels there. The Wyvern and the Dazzle aren't that far off either, both very defensive in nature, looking to keep heroes alive and make big plays during the team fights. So, yeah, overall I could see this working out pretty well for Pain, kind of running a similar draft to what we saw before, but Void Boys, they're a real wild card, and they've got the Mushroom Nature's Prophet to show for it.
The Mushroom Hat. They've also got a Void Courier. I didn't notice this last game, so I'm not sure if someone else had just brought it up, but...
No, they had... Oh, wait, no, that was Pain Gaming. I remember
had the
Pain
bear.
Courier had the Husky. I'm trying to remember...
Husky, yeah.
30 seconds.
Nah, they didn't have the Faceless Rex last time for the Void Boys, so this is interesting.
Well, the Dire get their Observer down very early on at this bot rune spot. They also see the Radiant place theirs. They've got a good idea where the Observers are right now. While Dire Observer Ward also placed on the lane here. From Pain Gaming up at top. Guess if the Earthshaker's roaming around towards mid and looking to control the jungle, gonna have the Winter Wyvern throwing out these Arctic Blast hits left and right. Now, top rune pretty much taken by the Radiant easily there, I'm gonna say.
Oh, now with the Alcyon cooldown, that's an easy first blood. Tuan, I don't know what he was thinking with that. He'll hit a 3-man LSA, but he will immediately go down to first blood, and that's for the Templar Assassin. Templar Assassin gets the bounty rune and a first blood, and they get the D ward here instantly, just tangoing up like it's nothing. This was a huge mistake. Just cast a light trigger. Yeah, you can cast it. You'll hit. They're definitely going to be on that spot where the bounty rune spawned, but to cast it when the Spirit Breaker is just waiting for an opening, that was a huge error, and it does put Lina in a very rough spot.
And the gold is one thing, you know, pushing this TA towards that bottle faster, sure, that's annoying for the Shadow Fiend. The bigger deal is here, the faster level 2. Now she has Refraction and Sideblades, and one of the biggest factors here for the TA against the SF 1v1 mid is the Sideblade Splash. If you can get it off early on, try and splash back onto the Shadow Fiend as aggressively as you possibly can, that can really swing the lane in your favor. Because I've seen Shadow Fiends crush TAs before. I've seen G play his SF against a TA and triple up on the CS against it. But I've also seen TAs in this lane which used to naturally just favor Templar Assassin like 70% of the time. They can dominate as well if they get the early start they need. It's very heavily skill-based though for the TA. Whether she can get these splashes back, whether the Shadow Fiend can hold his own, you know, once he gets to level 5 or so.
Spot on, they're going to charge onto the Furion with the Fisher. That's going to be the next skill. Tavo cleaning that one up. And, I mean, he's got a poor man shield. Like, he can take all the hits from Treants, from heroes, from towers, and just keep going. And, yeah, they're going to be putting out a huge amount of pressure now and on all the lanes, honestly. I mean, maybe the top lane's a little bit under fire, but yeah, the TA, like you said, that skill-based matchup is now going to become all that easier with this bottle already available. This is not a bottle rush build. This is a Wraith Band into bottle before the 2-minute mark.
Pretty crazy. I was flicking my camera between top and mid, looking up at top, seeing, are they going to get telekinesis? Land a Light Strike Array? They just haven't found an opening just yet. Winter Wyvern. But the Arctic Burn is a little bit annoying to deal with, and you've got the level 2 Rocket Barrage now, along with Flak Cannon being used pretty early on here from the Gyrocopter, just getting these last hits out, also harassing the Mirana down a little bit as well. And Earthshaker, waiting in the wings towards middle lane. The Lina Xuan, gonna head back and, I guess, stack the jungle for the Shadow Fiend or something. Very little he can do up at top, apparently.
And Nature Prophet tried to go for a courier snipe in mid when he saw the bottle delivered, but really nice micromanagement from CYS that allows it to make it safely, and he just has to TP scroll back to the bottom lane so he doesn't miss too much experience. Another thing I want to hit on is top lane. You look at the warding configuration, and there's actually a sentry just on the lip of the Observer Ward. They were trying to take care of this lane ward so they could find more openings with the Rubik Mirana. Instead, they have full vision, and they're pressing it as they go in and take away over half of whatever's HP.
Regen. Pretty important resource up at this top lane. Arrow is going to land on the 4DR. I'm not sure what else they can do though. The Cold Embrace mitigated there by the arrow launch out from Mirana. But bottom lane, I was just looking at the Spirit Breaker. He's got Poor Man's Shield and Orb of Venom. So even if the Treants want to try and harass him down, he's got 7 armor, close to 900 HP, and he's pretty much unkillable by this Nature's Prophet alone. So Fly in trouble now. Charge forward with the Earthshaker here. Fissure to block him off as well. Another kill on this Nature's Prophet. LSA will keep the Earthshaker in, but there's no Dragon Slave. That's a level 1 Lina. Rubik comes in with a Fade Bolt, but there's nothing doing while up at top. Mirana forced to leap, so that's on cooldown now for 25 seconds.
Tavo dropping pretty low here. The Poor Man's Shield helping a lot in this position, but he did get hit by that last Lina stun. Will dodge out the next one without the Empowering Haste and get the jump away. Telekinesis is going to be out of range. The slow Rubik can't interrupt. And Nature's Prophet trying to head him off, but a smart TP from Tavo avoids that entirely. Man, these guys are predicting the Furian's movement really, really well. And in the end, now they've forced a full rotation away from top. They killed, like you said, killed Mirana, and now 40R can just push down the tower with his Bassi Ring.
I'm not even sure the Furian could have actually killed the Spirit Breaker there. It's still a difficult task to actually do, but you can give it a good old try. Earthshaker still standing around to charge down to bot as well. He's going in here onto the Lina. They've got the Telekinesis. Fisher stops. The Light Strike Array, though, still going to land. Tavo taking a good amount of damage. Mirana's actually coming here with the arrow. Now Tavo dropping down to 200, lower and lower, but he's tanking through all the hits. The final one from Rubik will finish him off, but 4 heroes down here for Void Boys. The commitment is real. They're going to go into this tier 1 tower as well. Glyph is popped as Earthshaker is stacking Ancients. Mid lane, the TA has forced the Shadow Fiend out to try and stack his own jungle camp, which is now up to 3. But 40R, they haven't got up to this top tier 1. They haven't pushed it out.
And now that's when your traditional American Dota comes out with all chat of takes 4 heroes to kill me, lol. It's just like, yeah, well, at least they got the kill. That's the important thing. At least they got a point on the board, and they're actually trying to turn that into a tier 1 tower. But there is going to be another charge. Tavo will dodge out the arrow, but won't get to deny the tower. Furion claims that one, and actually there's not been that much progress made on this top tier 1, even with the Cold Embrace keeping the creep wave alive.
And now they switch things up, actually. Nature's Prophet up on this top lane. And I guess since there's no stun really up here to lock him down, Rocket Barrage is going to be scary, it's going to be a threat, but it's never really going to be in range to actually finish him off unless he makes a misstep. Fly, as long as he's got his boots, pretty good and pretty happy there. Smoke from the Earthshaker and TA.
A level 60, nearly level 7 with traps. Oh my gosh, Tiburon, if they find him farming this stack, they are going to get such a huge kill because they're going to get the neutral creeps as well. They see the camp, they sentry it off, but they have the Fissure in range, and they will find him.
Trap? Yeah, they got the slow now. There's the Fissure and Melt Strike level 1. Get the hits out. Tiburon, I'm sorry, Shadow Fiend. Say goodbye to your life and say goodbye to savings account.
Yeah, maybe they can contest this. I mean, they do have the Rubik and the Lina here. The Nature's Prophet could teleport in, but they have to get vision first. They have to know what they're going into. And actually, the Spirit Breaker's here as well with Nether Strike. Oh my gosh, he'll just distract them. He'll waste their time. He'll waste their spells. He might still get a kill out of it. Oh, nearly bringing down the Lina. Meanwhile, a few creeps claimed by the TA, but none of the big ones.
Okay, there's the Fissure from long range. Apparently, no bashes just yet. Arrow hits the TA on the end. They just need one bash really here from Tavo, but Shadow Fiend's here. Charge is ready.
Line of sight on the Rubik there.
And cancels it. So CYS heads himself back to the stacked camp. There's, what, 3 large creeps still there, so it's definitely worth heading back in. Tiburon. Oh no, he's come back in. The Fissure's gone though. He gets a raise out. Actually snipes a couple of them.
He got 2 big ones.
Yeah. And now, and now a third one. Yep, there we go.
Nice. Value. Of course he does split the experience 2 or 3 ways, but it's still going to be a lot better than him losing out on that entire stack and also being 0 and 1. I mean, just looking at net worth in general, they're really, really far behind. All 3 cores are top in the net worth on the side of Pain Gaming, so anything Void Boys can do to get back in this game is going to be a significant boon.
I mean, this is something we used to see in 6.83. Like, the big thing you'd usually point out in the first, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the game, oh look, one team has dominated the laning phase, they've got 3 or 4 heroes in the top 5 in net worth, and it was difficult to actually turn things around unless you got that one big comeback fight. The DDTA, Light Strike Array lands down, but the Fissure's good. Can he finish him off before the Moonlight Shadow? He raises! CYS though gonna go down to the Fade Bolt. Rubik and Lina both there, but they don't save the Shadow Fiend. His impending doom.
Still trading it out is actually a positive thing. We're going to see a lot of damage on this top tier 1. The glyph will come through. Nature's Prophet not able to do too much now that these Moonlight Shadows expired. I'm not sure why he wasn't trying to TP away sooner. It seems, I guess, that he thought that he would be able to hide in the trees, but HY proves once again it's not going to be the right call.
Rubik charged up. They've not seen it. They've not seen it. Lina gets bashed on the cross through as well. Whatever, another strike. And Earthshaker, Fisher, just to hold out. Lina and Rubik, Telekinesis is good. They're still alive somehow. The double raises finish off the Spirit Breaker. And that's a good trade-off there. Arrow. Oh ho ho. Nearly hitting the TA, but Winter Wyvern hides behind the creep.
Yeah. I'm actually really uncertain why I'm2B didn't get the telekinesis off there. It's instant. Obviously he had to turn around to start it, but it's still like I feel like Rubik has some of the best animations in the game, and to not get the lift on that Spirit Breaker seems like just a misplay. But even still, they do again get a kill in exchange. They do kill the Spirit Breaker this time. They killed the TA last dive. So yes, they're still being clobbered, but in the same breath, they're actually getting a nice swing of golden experience. So if they can just continue to make those trades, they can bring themselves back. The problem is, Pain Gaming are finding better farm elsewhere. We look at the TA. Ancient stacked up, going to be moving in towards her first major item very quickly here, and I don't see why it wouldn't be the Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
And Desolator is obviously a pretty good option too. It depends on how they're going to be able to position themselves in the fights, but no matter what, it's a big pickup.
I think we've seen the prevalence of the Desolator recently. You know, it got reduced in cost. Sure, it lost a little bit of its minus armor and things like that, or it lost a bit of its damage. But the fact that it can be seen as both an aggressive killing item onto heroes, you know, kill off support heroes in 2 or 3 hits, but also a farming item. You can go into these Ancients, you can go and kill Roshan incredibly quickly with the Desolator as well, and then it allows you... It's like an aggressive Midas for the TA. It allows her from... one item pickup to then transition quickly into the next and the next. So I really like the Deso first, after Phase or after Treads and Aquila here, just so she can go into the Blink and then KB it a little bit quicker. Whereas if you go for the Blink, it's relatively high risk, high reward for the expenditure. You know that once you have Blink, you need to go and make things happen. You can't really sit on your haunches and farm if that's what the game dictates. You need to go and either push out lanes and use it defensively to blink back, to potentially get caught off by a Nature's Prophet TPing in or an arrow after telekinesis, or you blink forward to look for kills and still suffer the same risks.
Definitely. I mean, I think the Desolator has a lot of great merits. The one thing I am looking at, though, is that this Shadow Fiend has just a buckler, an Aquila, and a bottle. And if he could be like hit by a Fisher and then blink Meldstruck, they could actually just find so many kills on him. But
they're
just
for it now.
Yeah, find their own way to victory here, and there's no way they can interrupt this Charge of Darkness.
There's no way the Shadow Fiend escapes either. Even with... Oh, he's got a haste rune.
It's still another strike's gonna come through immediately after. They don't have detection.
Oh, it still hits! Yes, the TP reaction did come in. Rubik and Lina are here, but nothing doing. But yeah, the one, like the biggest problem I have here for Void Boys is that they have a Mirana carry. Sure, TI1, TI2, Mirana carry, fair enough, but there were limited heroes in the game. This Mirana, unless she gets things done early on with her arrows, the very early magic damage, the long-range duration stun she's got, her actual scaling isn't that great. Her stats gain is okay, sure, she's a ranged agility hero, but she needs a ton of items, and if her Midas is delayed, which it is, until, what, 13 minutes or something along those lines, then she's going to have a really rough time. But maybe with the kill here on the Earthshaker, the Nature's Wrath will help finish that off with Rubik and Lina. And, oh, okay. Oh dear. Arctic Burn, a few hits out from Tavo. Fly, a Treants out and a Sprout, but he's not going to survive this one. C40 up on the high ground, and do we see Tavo go back in for more dodges after the arrow, whatever, is actually turned to fight the back out. Tavo, Spirit Breaker, hit by the Light Strike Array, and maybe this is actually, the Melt Strike. Down he goes, and Schwan, he's got an LSA in 1 second's time, but the bashes from this freaking Spirit Breaker, 17% my backside. Mirana.
Well, I mean, it makes up for the few that he missed out earlier. One of the points in the jungle, he got like 1 out of like 7 hits. So I could say it all bounces out. There's one guy who gets like 5% smashes, you know it. But we're going to see the charge forward still keep coming. Without the lead, it looks like Mirana's dead. The Nether Strike back off cooldown after 80 seconds. Delivered right to the Mirana. Cold Embrace will keep Cat up, but there's the Melt Strike. Oh, Sprout! It's going to be cancelled out by the Telekinesis. They still get the kill on the Wyvern, though, and they're going to look to try to bring down TA. There's the Laguna Blade. The Refraction's back up, being ticked at by the Urn of Shadows, but still, it looks like he's got his distance with those Psionic Traps. So, when it's all said and done, the kill score is 14-5. Really good pressure coming out from Pain. Nearly free farm coming out for the Gyrocopter 40R. And like you're saying, this Mirana it's not only the fact that it's a Mirana as a hero and is not that great in scaling, but she's not farming all that well. This is their one position that is now 2,300 in net worth behind the other one position hero.
Where the hell did Lina die? Up at top lane, okay.
I don't have an excuse for that, honestly. Just Observer Ward. She didn't know about the Observer Ward.
Shadow Fiend,
otherwise,
no hate for you this time. Arrow after Telekinesis is going to try and hold back the TA, and maybe they'll succeed, but the charge is coming through. Heal up, Tiburon held back, and Tavo, no Nether Strike this time, but he's still got the hits. Out onto Shadow Fiend, and down he goes, tanking through it all. Nature's Wrath not going to do too much, and the Winter's Curse actually, whatever, is caught. Holy crap, and this is still without the Gyrocopter joining. This is Gyrocopter on the top lane pushing a tier 2, while Pain Gaming are going 4 versus 5. They've killed off another 2, and that's 4 down for nothing in exchange.
So it looks like this game might just be ending as long as the last one went. Like just inverting the time there. They're gonna average out to about a normal game of Dota, but 85 minutes for the last one. I would say maybe 20 for this one, because they can follow up with Roshan so quickly here and probably push to end within the first Roach cycle. Void Boys have a team of squishy ranged heroes. The one thing they really can't do with 5 ranged hero lineups is fall behind early. You're not going to be able to bring this one back when there's so much damage coming in. I would say Aegis the Immortal and maybe like a Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker is all that Pain Gaming need to wait on before they move in for the kill. We're going to see 40R take the Ancients this time instead of the TA, and with that money, he's not only getting this Sanjin Yasha, but a little bit more.
Desolator's done for that Templar Assassin. Another thing about the Mirana was, she was in an aggro trialing, so it's always going to be difficult for her to find farm up there. They actually, they had an aggro trialing for 45 seconds. The Lina just gave up on it very early on. Scary stuff for them. But the Rubik and Lina haven't really been able to do too much. Quite often, when we've seen Chinese teams run this, I think VG in particular, when they were running this a hell of a lot, they were basically just stacking up creep camps. They were getting a ton of value out of these two supports. Maybe they roamed towards mid once or twice, but it was always very situational, what you were going to do and when. You can't go into the game and think, okay, we're going to pick Rubik, and we're going to pick Lina together as a support duo, and we're going to do X. It always has to be, we have to be very open to the situations that come to hand. Now, Tavo has gone in here with a charge. The Shadow Field's caught, but they turn back around. The Sprout will hold them in place, but Earthshaker, Fisher's good with the Winter's Curse. They hold them in place, and Tiburon, oh man, the damage from the Desolator. Requiem is wound up to slow down the TA as Fly is ripped apart by the charge, and the hits out from the ES. He's gone. In goes the Spirit Breaker again, and CYS one hit. Not getting the following ones there as Rubik stick charges up.
Yeah, not as good of a chasing lineup this time around, but they still kind of can dig their feet in. When they heal themselves back up, they're going to be able to push without any remorse and any hesitance whatsoever. The Spirit Breaker has that armlet, so he's doing all that damage. And yeah, there's just so many sources of damage. I want to pull attention to the net worth and just add together the Furion and the Mirana's net worth. Adding together 3,800 and 4,100. Those two combined are not equal to the TA, nor the Gyrocopter individually. Like, they are just getting so outfarmed, so outclassed, and Void Boys really are in desperation mode. Rubik is in the smoke with his teammates. He's got that empowering haste. He's going to need a much bigger spill steal than that if they're going to be able to take a fight. So they're hoping that somebody goes to defend top lane, and in that opportunity they get a pick off. But Nature's Prophet's the one that's going to be picked off in the mid, where he just can't find a safe place to farm. Going for that old school no tally blade mail build.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna take a while before he even completes that item.
14,000 experience lead here for Pain Gaming, and about the same in net worth. Looking towards the 1k a minute mark, getting there. Now the Mirana has, I don't know if she intended to go for the Midas. I think that was probably like the goal initially when she picked up the very early Gloves of Haste, but now going into the Maelstrom, needs some kind of damage output here. Whatever is hiding in the tree line, just waiting, ready, knowing, gets bashed up on the charge through this Spirit Breaker in onto the Lina. Light Strike Array missed now. Schwan, another strike at the ready, throws to the Dragon Slave and the Laguna Blade, barely takes it into half HP, and he's got armor to toggle as well. 40 yards, Gyrocopter, call down, Rocket Barrage, and Shadow Fiend is gone.
Bottom lane.
Oh man, what the hell's going on down here? The TA's going in on the tier 3. Arrow, no arrow, the Winner's Curse comes in, C4T, perfect turnaround there. As the stolen Melt Strike from the Rubik, Arrow barely scrapes past, but this TA, one more hit out, the Sprout not going to stop. As the Cold Embrace, 7 stick charges, and guess what? He's got second life. He's got Aegis Immortal.
Music, man. Spirit Breaker is coming for this next one. It looks like he won't have detection time for the Moonlight Shadow, but at least he's going to be here for the fight as TA responds. The arrow comes out, will be eaten by the TA, so in some trouble there, but there's just no damage coming from the Radiant right now.
Yeah, the Winter Wyvern forced to embrace himself. The Starstorm is going to finish him off with the Dragon Slave, but in comes 40R. He's actually made his way down here. The Spirit Breaker takes down the Rubik, and that's your first tier 3 of the game. 19 minutes in. Arrows flying left and right for the Shadow Fiend. 8. Oh! Oh, okay!
And children, please.
Holy crap! Now the Blink Echo with a cold down. That's it. That's game over. Pain Gaming wipe them off the face of the map, and GG's called. You said it. 20 minutes in, 19 minutes and 20 seconds after an 85-minute game 1. Pain Gaming 2-0 sweep in its best of 3, man.
They weren't prepared to deal with the Spirit Breaker charges and the pressure that he was going to be able to put out against the Furion directly. Their tri-line fell apart, as you hit on pretty early. Like, obviously the fact that they fed First Blood, the bounty runes, that doesn't help them at all, but then moving up to the top lane and not getting hardly anything in terms of kills, like that just, it's a complete deciding game factor. And Pain Gaming, they're able to just run with the momentum. They just don't lose anything in their major engagements, and they push in for the win very early. They had the heroes to do it, not necessarily push oriented heroes, but early fight and early combat heroes that could of course scale later